Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In episode 12, I'm going to go over my contribution, my latest buys, my final March distribution, and the rough portfolio performance after another volatile week in the markets. Yikes. My portfolio, as you can see, is now down $195.84. That's roughly about 6.67% year to date. Almost nearly double last week's drawdown. Obviously, as geopolitical tensions continue to weigh on the markets, it's not something that takes me by surprise. You can clearly see how the Nasdaq itself was down last week. I believe 2.1, and the S&P was down 1.9. The Nasdaq year to date, it's down 10.6%. And the S&P year to date is down 5.13. So this is not something that is just because of why I'm buying, but just merely how the markets are. This week, I contributed my $75. I'm staying consistent, right? Again, no matter what the market does, the plan stays the same. I'm not predicting what's going to happen next week, if it's going to go down, if it's going to go up. I'm just going to continue to buy steadily and let time do the heavy lifting, okay? This weekly consistency is what really this journey is all about. As I've always said, income first, growth second, patience always. In terms of what I bought this week, so I bought one share of 60, which is to bring it in line with the allocated percentage for this particular asset. I took advantage of the fact that the metal markets were down heavily last week, with gold and silver and copper dropping quite a lot. And I bought another share of AGCC and another share of CPCC. And I'm also adding to my bi-weekly contributors, HPYB and HPYE, which amazingly enough have actually stayed, less volatile than any of the other holdings that I have. This is another week of slowly building the portfolio, one share at a time, because that's all I can afford. Again, I had somebody ask me the other day, who is this video for? And I don't know if you remember, but I did say this on the first video that I made. This video is for people like me, people that don't have disposable income, people that can't afford to buy a share of Google at $600 or a share of Apple at $400 and can only afford to buy $75 weekly of shares that cost $10 to $12, right? Anyways, no big swings, no dramatic moves. We just stay in the course, right? Sticking to the system and continue to add to income producing positions. In terms of distribution, I got my final bi-weekly distribution, which means that our monthly total for March is $39.99. It's a small increase over what we got last month, which was $38.64. But that's normal because I don't know if you remember, I made some changes at the beginning of March, which meant that I removed some of the single ETF assets that I consider them to be more volatile, and thus my income got reduced, but still it's an increase, it's a modest increase, but an increase is an increase, right? At the end of the day, that is what it really matters. As they say, progress is progress, even when it's small, okay? In terms of the portfolio performance, well, what can I tell you that I haven't told you already? Right, so we are down 6.67% year to date. Last week, we were down 3.82%, which I think has been the biggest drop since I've started investing, which is almost double of what we dropped the week before, right? It was another rough week overall. There's no hiding it. It is what it is. I'm sure everybody's feeling the pain. With so much volatility across the market. And the main culprit continues to be the Middle East situation. It's kept the pressure on the markets. It's adding to investor uncertainty. Amazingly enough, the VIX though is not really like going up. which is something that you would expect, right? When there is fear in the market, the VIX tends to shut up, but it hasn't. So I don't really know any. Anyways, the whole thing is that, the broader US indexes have had another negative week. And thus I would expect my portfolio to also have a negative week. Okay. Not much we can do. Patience, my friends, patience. So in terms of the market outlook, well, yes, so I don't really think things are going to get better in the short term. With the latest, with geopolitical tensions still high, oil prices keep climbing, and markets clearly don't like the uncertainty. If we have to quote some of the media out there, Reuters and AP both described last week's sell-off as being driven by inflation fears and Middle East-related instability, right? So with oil prices rising sharply and the conflict escalating, we can only expect that next week and the next few weeks we'll have more of the same. So I expect more shakiness and more volatility, but for long-term investors such as myself, volatility also creates opportunity. Right? And this is what I did this week with the extra income. I bought some more shares than, at a cheaper price that I would have normally bought them before. If prices stay under pressure, that just means that my future contributions can buy more share at cheaper levels. And that's really it. In terms of my strategy, nothing changes. Even with another ugly week, or a couple of ugly weeks now, we're still investing every week. We're still building our positions. We're still growing the income stream, and we're still staying patient through the volatility. Okay? This is the part of investing that really tests discipline, right? There's a lot of people panicking. There's no need to panicking. If you're here for the long journey, things will look, there is light at the end of the tunnel eventually. Okay. Everyone can feel good when the markets are green. I'm feeling good when the markets are red. Why? Because I see it as an opportunity to buy cheap. So instead of buying one, maybe I can buy two. Okay. The real challenge is continuing to buy when the headlines are negative, right? Because the sentiment is weak, the portfolio is down. But if you can see past through that, then, things should turn okay. And if they don't, well, it is what it is, right? That's where convictions matter the most. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much. If you like what you've seen, please do not hesitate to like and subscribe. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And I will see you all for episode 13 next week. Hopefully with a little bit of a better look. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.